Like, we were coming in at 6 a.m. and they're still waiting outside. We thank you so much for doing that. We know it's not easy. We appreciate you. All right, so let's talk about what happened yesterday. One Marvin Lewis, you've been on the record saying that he needed to win a playoff game as a head coach. Well, he did not win a playoff game. They lost to the Colts at home. They did not have their star wideout, A.J. Green. He wasn't there. Andy Dalton did not play well. In fact, during playoff games, he's 0-4, 1 touchdown, 8 turnovers. Stephen A. Smith, let's talk about Marvin Lewis specifically in his career. Do you think that this should be the end for him in Cincinnati?
Unfortunately, yes, I do. In the interest of fairness, sitting on this set, if we're going to sit here and hold folks accountable, how do we let him get a pass? The best thing that happened to Marvin Lewis yesterday was A.J. Green being out because you have an excuse for losing yet again. And I understand that. And if that's an excuse that Mike Brown uses to keep Marvin Lewis on board as head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, so be it. Some people in life are not winners. They're people that accept mediocrity. And I'm not talking about Marvin Lewis. I'm talking about Mike Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals organization. Marvin Lewis is obviously trying to win. And I would never disrespect or denigrate this man's reputation by saying he doesn't care about winning. I'm quite sure he cares profoundly about winning. But at some point in time, it's about whether or not you get the job done. And simply put, he has failed to do so. You don't win Super Bowls all the time. You don't win Super Bowls most of the time. We understand that. Some years are better than others. We understand that. Everybody can't be Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots and go to the playoffs, 12, 13, 14 consecutive years. We get all of that.
Sure.
But my God, could you win a playoff game? Just one. Yesterday marked the 12th complete season that Marvin Lewis has been the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. And he has not won one single playoff game. Not one. In 12 years. To me as an organization, if you accept that, what you are saying to the city of Cincinnati and their fans locally and nationwide, if not abroad, assuming they exist, what you are saying is we have no problem being mediocre.
Right.
And to me, that's not what a sports franchise is supposed to be about. If you are a college university, sure, student athletes, people paying for their education, et cetera, but a professional franchise, not to say that it's free to go watch college games, but a professional football franchise asks the public to patronize their product, to pay. And what they sell you on is the fact that we are going to do everything within our power to compete, to elevate, to progress. Well, keeping the same dude that can't win you a playoff game for 12 years belies that. It just throws that to the wind. And so for me, look, y'all, my last point is this. On many occasions, as a black man sitting up here, I've looked at the coaches who are black, and I wanted them to have opportunities. All right? Because at some point in time, they got to get them. But in the interest of fairness, I could never say anything about anybody losing their job if I sit here with a straight face and tell you that Marvin Lewis should stay on as head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. He has had 12 years. I'm not saying he should be a head coach, but in Cincinnati, he has had 12 years. And he has come up with a big fat 0. Enough's enough. He needs to go.
I appreciate and respect the stance you're taking on this. I respectfully, in this case, disagree with you. You realize how hard it is to make the playoffs year after year after year in the National Football League. Ask this year's Philadelphia Eagles how hard it is, because they're home right now.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. They deserve to be home.
They did.
But he deserves, Marvin Lewis, a pass off what happened yesterday because, as Kerry points out, we made our picks on Friday. I did not know if A.J. Green was going to be cleared to play with what had been a concussion through the protocol. I thought he probably would be cleared. I sort of hinged my pick because I picked the upset here, as did you, Cincinnati. and he couldn't go. And the double shock to me was that Jermaine Gresham, who's a big, strong, tall target for Andy Dalton, could not play yesterday. Shocker to me. And all of a sudden, early on, they lose Ray Maluga, who's arguably as good a player as they have on defense. And then they lose one of their best cornerbacks in Dre Kirkpatrick. And I'm saying, this isn't a fair fight anymore. Andy Dalton is what he is and what he is not. He's just okay. We know he's just okay, and you can't ask him to rise above not having A.J. Green in a playoff game on the road at a place they lost earlier this year, 27-0 without A.J. Green. Right. So I'm thinking, not only is it not a fair fight, you're playing with two hands tied behind your back because your quarterback can't do this by himself like some quarterbacks are able to do. Listen, they were using Rex Burkhead as a wideout in the first quarter. Rex Burkhead, he's a little 5'9" backup tailback, and you're having to play him at wide. Are you kidding me? So again, Marvin keeps, what's that now? 4 years in a row they've made the play. Again, they haven't won the first game, but you got to give this man a little bit of a pass.
I am giving him a little bit of a pass, which is why I sounded a bit melancholy when I said what I said, as opposed to somebody sitting there saying he's defiant, you shouldn't even allow him on a charter home. Okay? I didn't go that far.
Nope.
Why? Because I understand those injuries. But I will remind you, Skip Bayless, of several points. Number one, A.J. Green was on that field when they got smacked around by Cleveland early in the season.
Nope, they were way up and way down. Yep.
He was on that field when they got smacked around by the New England Patriots.
Yep.
Okay? When you had the game, when you look at some of the personnel that they had in place, and they lost the division title to the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? I mean, it wasn't an excuse. Every single year we turn around, and there is some reason to explain why Marvin Lewis has come up short. I'm going to reiterate this. 12 years, not one single solitary playoff victory. Now, I don't know about anybody else. But I know this much. When you are an employee, you are a laborer, and you have a job to do for the boss doesn't sit there and say to you, well, you know, there's a whole bunch of reasons why you shouldn't be able to do this job. Try your best. And that's it. The boss says, figure it out. Get it done. Last time I checked, Marvin Lewis, who everybody wants to say has say, he picked this roster. He picked Andy Dalton. Okay? He picked Jeremy Hill, who, by the way, had 47 yards rushing yesterday.
And by the way, I don't know why they abandoned that after
all right,
the first
and that's
series.
all I'm saying. There we go. So you don't have A.J. Green, but Jeremy Hill, who's 1,000-yard rushes for you in just 11 games this year, you only give him the ball 13 times in the dome against Indy, who's looking to throw the football every time they get. You keep the ball out of Andrew Luck's hand. What was the best shot of doing that? Giving Jeremy Hill the ball. I don't want to hear excuses. Enough. You have to get it done. Marvin Lewis has been too busy telling us, subliminally that is, why he can't get it done. Enough's enough.
Last quick point, Kerry.
Sure.
I do want to publicly congratulate Andrew Luck for not throwing an interception in a playoff game yesterday.
So you can't get on him anymore.
Last year
you can't get on him anymore.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
He did not turn the ball over one time.
Yep.
God bless.
Congrats, Aaron.
Well, if you want to congratulate Tony Romo, you might as well congratulate him.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Okay. After the game, Marvin Lewis was asked whether or not he would keep his job, and he said he would like to be there. It's not up to him, though. We'll get to that in just a few moments. They're excited back here. Coming up next, speaking of MVP, we're talking about Skip's MVP choice versus that bad man known as Aaron Rodgers. Woo! Who's going to win that game? We're talking about it. First Take is on the road here in Gilly.